Hi, I'm David Terrar and welcome to our live stream news and interview show Cloud Industry Forum presents TWF and the wonderful mixed reality wonder magic that's done by our friends at Disruptive Live. I'm the CEO of Cloud Industry Forum, which is a not-for-profit membership-driven trade body that champions and helps accelerate the adoption of cloud technology and services. We've got members like Lenovo and Kaiser PR and Broadcom and Hewlett Packard Enterprise and OVH Cloud and others. If you want to find out more about us, come to cloudindustryforum.org. We're on the lookout for guests to come on the show, so if you've got doing something that supports or is supported by secure and trusted cloud technology, then we'd love to hear from you. You can connect with us here in the comments at LinkedIn, or you can email us at info@cloudindustryforum.org. I'm at DT on X. I'm David_Terrar on Threads. I'm on LinkedIn. You can search and find me. Now, today's tech story has to be about OpenAI, but it's not because ChatGPT actually will pass its first birthday this week. Obviously, it's about the incredible events covering 5 days or so last week, and I'll try and give a slightly different spin on this to all of the other people that are talking about it because it's big news. It all started on Friday the 17th when OpenAI their board announced a leadership transition with Chief Technology Officer Mira Murati appointed interim CEO to lead OpenAI, effective immediately. So that meant Sam Altman, who is one of the founders, was departing his CEO and board positions. The announcement explained a deliberative review process concluded that he was not consistently candid in his communications with the board. He lied. And the announcement went on to say that as part of this transition, Greg Brockman would be stepping down as chairman of the board and would remain in his role at the company reporting to the CEO. Shortly after that, Greg quit. Now, this is a major shake-up at a company that has been in the news and making the news for most of 2023. And all of that time, Altman was kind of the face of that news. That same Friday, Microsoft's Satya Nadella said, "We have a long-term agreement with OpenAI. Together we will continue to deliver the meaningful benefits of this technology to the world." Interesting. Over the weekend on the 18th and 19th, one of the early investors said it wanted Altman back. Employees talked about quitting if he wasn't restored. Altman himself speculated about maybe doing another AI startup. Then on Monday, the 20th, Satya announced that he was hiring both Altman and Brockman and their colleagues to lead a new AI research team. A short while later, that same Monday, OpenAI appointed Twitch boss Emmett Shear as interim CEO, so Mira didn't last long. The same day, most of OpenAI's staff, 600 or more maybe, said they would quit if Sam wasn't reinstated. And also the same day, other OpenAI founder, chief scientist and board member Ilya Sutskever said he deeply regretted his role in Altman's firing. Now, we get on to Tuesday the 21st, and this is the thing that most of the other news stories haven't mentioned. I'm indebted to Kara Swisher's New Yorker Magazine podcast. You should check it out. She did an emergency podcast interviewing Satya Nadella on this debacle. She asked him, as a major investor in OpenAI, was he given warning on Friday? How did he feel about it? And it's quite clear that this all came as a surprise to him. But he says, and I'm quoting, "On Friday, first I felt fantastic about Microsoft and our ability to confidently go innovate in AI as it was in full display at our customer conference from silicon to co-pilots and everything that we were doing and our commitment to our customers as far as the innovation there. The second partnership with the second thing is our partnership with OpenAI, and then we're with Sam. That's the three things. Three things I said then. That's exactly what I would say today." And he's talking on Tuesday. He said he was mostly working with Sam and wasn't consulted by the not-for-profit board. He explained that at that stage, how he's known Mira for a long time and they're fully committed to her and OpenAI. And he suggests that actually there would be no OpenAI without Microsoft leaning in to support what they were doing and how great partnerships can create a lot of enterprise value. He goes on to explain that whatever happens, Sam will work with Microsoft and that he didn't want them to get splintered and for the mission to be jeopardized. He then very stridently explains how they have all the IP rights and all the capability. So if tomorrow OpenAI disappeared, He wouldn't want any of their customers, this is Microsoft's customers or partners, to be worried about it. He says they've got all the rights to continue the innovation, not just serve the product. He also says they have all the that what we're doing in the partnership, we can do it ourselves. We can do it because we've got the people, we've got the compute, we've got everything. He explains how he's been working with Sam for 4.5, maybe 5 years, and Altman's been hired for this new advanced research division, and he has great admiration for Altman's vision and his ability to bring teams together and push. He talks about how it's not just OpenAI, and that many Microsoft engineers were working on this mission on the Friday, and they'll carry on working. And if the 600 OpenAI staff want to come, there's a place for them, for great AI talent to come to Microsoft to support the mission. Kara kind of pressed him on how much that was all going to cost and what he was going to invest and how it would be paid for, but he avoided all those details and explained how the new team would operate inside Microsoft as a separate entity in the way that they manage GitHub or LinkedIn. Kara raised him at Sheer, and Satya said he'd met him last night and all's well. He explained that he had been partnering with OpenAI and Sam, and how they'd been working with Sam, and the partnership was fantastic, and it would just continue. He went on to say that he'd learned a lesson or two, and he quite pointedly says, we're not going to get surprised like this again. He explained that they would take care of the governance issues within OpenAI to make sure that was so. Later in the interview, he talked about the debate around AI safety and explained how every technology is both a tool and a weapon. And one thing was having the existential debate around if we lose control of AI, and the other thing was the now problems of the issues with deepfakes and fake news, and he was saying they're working on those things all ends of the day on a daily basis with proper oversights and the need for safety boards with real teeth so that they have safe development and take the harms seriously. That New Yorker interview hasn't been mentioned much in the press, as far as I can see, at all, as to why OpenAI did their U-turn. But at the end of the day, I was in no doubt who had the power and who was on a mission, with or without OpenAI. If I was a member of the OpenAI board and I'd watched that interview, I'd be worried. So I wasn't at all surprised that a few hours later on Tuesday evening, OpenAI announced that they'd reached agreement in principle for Sam Altman to return to OpenAI as CEO with a new board. An initial board of Brett Taylor as chair, Larry Summers and Adam D'Angelo. And apparently they might appoint up to 9 directors to that new board. Sam said, with the new board and with Satya's support, I'm looking forward to returning to OpenAI and building on our strong partnership with Microsoft. And soon after that, Brockman tweeted a selfie with a whole host of the OpenAI staff saying, we are so back. You couldn't make it up. I want to go and see the movie when it's made in a couple of years' time. Silicon Valley will have to go some to top that story condensed into that short of timeline. And so to our guest. My guest today is an old friend. We first met in 2005 when all of us were talking about Web 2.0 and getting to grips with the big shift to cloud and social and mobile and all that kind of thing. He's got some important insights on data science and visualization and psychology and stuff. Benjamin Ellis, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Thank you for having me here. And it's interesting, a lot's changed in that time and a lot hasn't changed.
That's very true.
So my name's Benjamin Ellis. My original background was in engineering, and I worked for companies like Cisco Systems in the early days, helping to build the internet. Then I changed tack and got into psychology, particularly perceptual psychology and organizational psychology and culture. So spent the time trying to fix the problems maybe that the internet created. And I'm the CEO, Managing Director of SocialOptic. And so the purpose is in the name. So social, we're all about people, their interactions, their attitudes, beliefs, and knowledge.
Excellent.
Then optic. So it's really about making things visible. So visible, transparent measurement, helping to create a shared understanding of that environment so that people can make better decisions. That's what we do day to day.
Excellent. Now, if I go to the SocialOptic website, it lists 4 products. So tell us a bit about the products that support all that philosophy.
Sure. So we have SurveyOptic.
Yep.
So that's an insights platform that uses questions to gather data, which we then analyze and visualize for decision support. So that's anything from surveys to simple one-off questions. And again, the idea there is to get data into a context where people can make decisions from it. Having made that decision, we've got Milestone Planner. So that's a timeline-based planning tool that helps people set actions and goals and track those on a timeline so they can see that things are being actioned, that things are happening.
Excellent.
And then we have this before that, which is really about mapping out dependencies. So whether that's processes or systems, to understand the relationships between things so that when you come back round to the decision making, you can understand what's impacting on what, where the blockers are. And then finally, we have Decisioneer, which is a data-driven decision support tool, which is really about getting different people's opinions around a decision and gathering the evidence and documenting that decision. And then you go back around the cycle to SocialOptic asking questions again. So that's how we work.
Excellent. There's lots more we need to talk about in there. Interesting. So obviously, as products, am I right in thinking that all of those are kind of delivered software as a service supported by cloud technology?
So yes, it's all software as a service, cloud native. I guess we built the product in the cloud. Today, it's fully containerized and we use some function as a service.
Yeah.
So that means that we can separate all of the customer's data and compute, which is important from a security point of view for a lot of the things that we do. Yeah. And so we make use of those technologies, but also to reduce the environmental impact of what we do as well. Yeah. So we want to be really efficient about how we use compute as well as being really secure, and cloud enables us to do that in a way that we couldn't have even dreamed of when we started the business.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. 2023 is the year of generative AI and large language models and that kind of thing. And I know that you already used machine learning and those kind of components in what you do. Tell us about how that's impacted you.
So it's interesting, isn't it? This has become the year of AI, and yeah. It's a technology that's really been around for a long while.
Yeah.
We started using the kind of early parts of AI and machine learning over a decade ago. Yeah. We use it a lot for classifying data, so helping to summarize text and things like that. Really, though, we like to use it to help support humans. So our observation and experiments with generative AI are, it's great for the creative process, great for stimulating thought, but very poor at decision making because it's very high error rate. And also, I think we have some concerns about the sustainability of it, not just from the kind of environmental impact, but because it's reliant on outputs that it's impacting, then you don't get that value creation. So we're looking for loops where we're creating new knowledge, creating value. So generative AI, a very interesting stimulant. It's been really useful for things like automated testing, generating automated tests, wonderful, but we wouldn't use it, for example, for making decisions around new laws or patient healthcare. That's where we can get a human in the loop and use the machine learning to just accelerate that human cognitive ability.
Excellent. Now, I've seen you on a podcast and at the Social Value UK conference talking about using data to make decisions, and obviously that's at the core of the four products you just explained. Tell us a bit more about that side of it.
Yeah, so I think most organisations these days know that they need to use data to make effective decisions. I think most organisations are relatively overweight in quite poor quality lagging indicators. So they've got a lot of business data like revenue and those sorts of things, which all tell you about what's happened. Yeah. What we're really interested in and helping encourage people with is leading indicators. Yeah. So actually asking people what they think about things is incredibly powerful. In your organisation, if you ask your employees, the team about which business strategy you're working, which not, who are the new competitors, all those sorts of things, you get really valuable insight that supports decision making. And most organisations are kind of missing out on that, really. So you've got to get the right data to the table from where it is to get it in front of people. But also for us, that's also about creating shared understanding. So even within an executive team, actually having data helps provoke the discussion of, well, you see it this way and I see it this way, and how do other people see it? Let's adjust our reality. And I think to that organisational decision making, I'd say it's using the data in a way that challenges your assumptions. Yeah. So a lot of people will go out and find what I call success measures, and that's great, data that tells you've done a good job, but the valuable data is things that disprove that. So if you think it's a well-run, high-performance organisation, look for data that tells you where things are going wrong, because that's stuff that you can action and make a difference. So less of the success measures, more looking at the impact and risk measures, because that's really what's going to protect your business and help you make good decisions as an exec team.
Interesting. Now, a long while ago, I remember you talking at a TEDx talk about how our brains aren't properly wired to actually understand all this kind of thing. What were you talking about? What did you mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting, that journey. I mean, the more that I understand about the human brain, the more I'm amazed. We have these really powerful computers, they're neural networks built on the same technology as generative AI. Amazing. Or is that the other way around? And in fact, some research suggests that actually the neural networks in our brains have actually got quantum effects. So you might even have a quantum computer in your head already. So that's, we're quite powerful. But the fact is, we didn't really evolve to sit at a desk and make decisions from spreadsheets. That's not what we're adapted to. At least 2/3, probably actually a lot more of our brain is involved in visual processing, but that wasn't designed for looking at pie charts. So we have to adapt our environment to work better for us. So a lot of what we do is try and choose visualizations that get around the cognitive biases that people have. So you won't see a lot of pie charts, for example, in our presentations because they're open to misinterpretation. So it's really about how do we overcome the biases that we have to really capture the power of the thinking ability we've got, because people are, really powerful, high-value computers, just need to get the right stuff in front of them and the right environment around them. And again, that's something we really look at now as part of organizational performance. Have people got the right environment to get the job done? Not, well-being impacts on people's performance. We are computers, but in a body, and we have to look after both of those things.
Okay, interesting. Now, changing tack slightly, I saw a webinar that you did earlier in the year that was all about the impact of culture on the bottom line. Now, that one was all about banking, but taking banking out of the equation. And I also know that you work in the healthcare sector as well. Tell us a bit about what you meant by that.
It's interesting that culture, a bit like generative AI, culture has become a kind of top-level topic item, but I think is often misunderstood. So culture is like brand. Culture is an output measure of the behaviors and opinions of your organization. So it's really important to measure and understand it, because where you've got those variances in culture, it tells you about the impacts of the decisions you've made as a business. It's not just a warm and fluffy thing though, because culture is what drives behavior in your organization. Behavior drives performance, performance drives results. So the banking sector example, poor culture led to bad decisions, which led to regulatory fines and big consequences for the bottom line of banks. In healthcare, faulty culture leads to poor patient care and some pretty tragic outcomes sometimes. But even in other environments, understanding your culture and getting it right means that you can create the right environment for all those great people that you've hired. You can retain them and they get to perform. And particularly having your culture aligned around what the business is designed to do is really important. And it is incredibly high value. So if as an organization you are dependent on innovation, for example, then really you need a culture that supports that, otherwise it's not going to happen. So, culture is a business issue, not just from a compliance point of view, but from a performance point of view. And so understanding that really well in the context of your business strategy as well is a way of unlocking high performance for a business. And people are just starting to realize that. So as you can tell, it's something I'm very passionate about. We work with a lot of organizations on that. So whilst we do national level consultations for laws, we also work with organizations on looking at their culture and understanding where it's going to drift, where maybe it's been misunderstood or needs adjusting, and where maybe it's not being communicated as clearly as it needs to be. And taking people through that process really unlocks things in the organization in terms of innovation, getting things done, customer satisfaction. You see all of those things move.
Okay, that's all pretty exciting. Tell me, what's next for SocialOptic? Can you tell us anything about your future plans?
Oh, that's a good question. So, we're making more use of low impact forms of AI to support decision making, getting better at doing that in a collaborative way. So really helping people build that shared understanding and understanding ways of unlocking the knowledge in the organization. Lots of organization, the knowledge is tacit, it's in people's heads. And actually, if you can get it out of people's heads into the cloud and accessible, you can start to realize, oh, actually, we're misaligned here, or there's this great insight that we didn't realize we had, or this competitor's doing this thing that we hadn't noticed. And then you can drive action. And again, we're realizing that closed loop process, taking action, understanding the impact of it, you understand how your organization works as a system, and then you can make better decisions around, well, actually, doing things this way is not going to work for the organization. If we do it this way, that's going to have an impact. So that's what we're doing now, is giving people insight into the organization as a system, but also their customers and service users and their supply chain as well. And lots of people miss the value there. People look at transactional value, but oftentimes you look at your supply chain, it's like, well, actually, we've got another supplier that can help this supplier. We should introduce them because they've got this technique, they're not competitors, and that would create a better offering for us. So that's what we're doing. How can you understand the system that you're part of and get a shared understanding of that using data?
Excellent stuff. Now, we've covered an awful lot of topics there. For our audience, this is my last question. What's the kind of like top 2 or 3 things you'd like them to take away from this discussion?
So our strapline is work together. We're really about helping people work together.
Yeah.
And our observation is people generally want to do the right thing and have capability and talent. It's really about creating a shared understanding and using data to do that. So data isn't the answer in its own right, but data really helps unlock the intelligence you've got in people to make better decisions, to understand, oh, I've misunderstood that, or actually there's a bit of evidence that I need to go and fetch and ask people what's happening, and thinking about things at a systems level as well is something we're really passionate about. Understanding the relationships between things, again, is something you can use data for and helps you make higher quality decisions.
That is absolutely excellent. Now, if people want to come and find out more about you and the company, how do they find you?
So find me as Benjamin Ellis on the internet. LinkedIn, I think, is mostly where I'm active these days. Easy to find there. Go to the SocialOptic website, so socialoptic.com. There's a little chat box there. Hit chat and ask us a question. We love to collaborate. The team love to explore and discover. We work across a number of different sectors. And it's been interesting understanding where problems are solved in one place. And we can take those solutions into another place and solve problems for people that thought, this is too hard. It's like, actually, we can help you understand and solve that. So socialoptic.com, come and find us.
Excellent stuff. Benjamin, that's been fantastic. It's been really interesting stuff. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me that all of those insights to do with data and culture and the way we think about decision making from Benjamin was really useful. Been great to have him on the show. Actually, you're watching this on a Wednesday instead of a Monday because we're in the middle of changing things here at TWF. So stay tuned for a bit of a different format coming soon and some changes. We'll see you next Wednesday.